My story. Well, first, for me to tell you my story, I have to tell you about my main attacker. See, the first crime that I'm aware of was in like 2000, the early 2000s. One of my one of my friends that used to go over to their house was raped by his friend, and which he went to the police department, and the police department showed back up there. They said, and I quote, "She was never raped. That didn't happen here. We don't know what you're talking about." And to this day, I owe her an apology because I didn't believe her at first until what happened to me. Psychological profile would have to be this. Probably the first incident would probably be the kid named Tyler, who overdosed on air dusters in the early 2000s too. My main attacker used to film him with a recorder camera and laugh his ass off at this kid while he was falling on the floor, could barely stand up, and he'd put it all over the internet for other people to see. And that is the truth too. And I think after that first kill, he got a taste for it. You know what I mean? And began hacking and stalking as many people as possible. I believe to this day that I was supposed to be the next victim, and his whole entire family knew about it from the very get go. You know what I mean? So now that I've given you that backstory of my main attackers organizing what happened to me here in Kentucky, I will give you my story. So I had this. I met him at work. I had a buddy living with me. He played the empathy card because I didn't like him. He was a lazy piece of shit. You know what I mean? I call him out on it all the time. But my buddy that was living with me felt sorry for him. So we'd end up hanging out at his house. You know what I mean? I remember the first time I met them people, they were weird to me. You know what I mean? I wanted nothing to do with them. Didn't seem like any of them had souls, to be honest. That's the first place I seen a satanic Bible, for God's sakes. But another, a little bit about that later. So I ended up getting a job. My buddy moved in with him. Whatever. You know what I mean? And I went off, got a job at a drywall factory. I was doing good, making money. Pretty much cut everybody off. Got me a job. Found me a girlfriend and picked me a nice girl. Ended up, she was on heroin, but I was going to fix her. You know what I mean? I stuck in there. I wasn't just going to abandon her like everybody else did. And it'd been years went by, and one night somebody calls me up to go to the bar. I'll go to the bar with him. This is the first time he ever called the police department on me. We went down to Tickets down there in Covington, and I got loaded pretty good at the bar. And before I left the bar that night, he said, "Hey, go get your gun out of your truck," because I had this little handgun because I was going up to the city buying heroin, so I bought a gun for defense. And I went out, gave it to him, didn't think nothing of it. Get halfway home, call the cops on me, I get my very first DUI. It wasn't long after that I had to depend on somebody for a ride, so I had him go pick me up and my girlfriend at the time. Well, I guess he decided to sneak her number and stuff. You know what I mean? So my other buddy, who was also like real close friends of mine, he adapted himself into my circle of friends, turned them all against me one by one, by one, by one. That's what they did. The first one was my buddy that lived with me. My second one was my other buddy. He ended up getting hooked on drugs, converting to Satanism. And the very first time, I'm sitting at home playing video games with my other buddy, and I get a video of my girlfriend in the shower with my other friend that he arranged, the one that called the DUI on me. So we're just going to call her A. All right. So I get all depressed and suicidal. I mean, everybody always knew I had emotional problems even when I was younger. And so I snort me a big old line of heroin, whatever. I was mad at him, but now that I look back, it was the fat shit that organized the entire ordeal. Like, they fit the profile and everything. I don't know why I was so blind for years, because I'm a little slow. And that was in like 2012 to 2014. Now, between then, he's still hacking my phone, and they're like got access to my Facebook and everything, keeping an eye on me. I start, I'm depressed. He keeps inviting me up there to work on Honda Civics and stuff like that. I'm out of work and shit. You know what I mean? I'm up there, they start weird stuff starts happening. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna shove you up. I'm gonna sign you up for government experimentation. I'm like, whatever. I'm all depressed as shit. His sister takes an interest in me. She starts getting close to me. I wake up with her mama on the couch with me, and I just get up and walk away. You know, like weird preamble shit before a shame and humiliation ritual takes place. Those are installs so that when people are hacking you and listening to you later, you talk shit about them, and they're like, that wasn't true. That wasn't true. We didn't do that. It makes you look delusional at the time why they got a Truman Show event going on. So, you know what I mean? His sister's like, the universe is speaking to me. I heard your voice outside my window type shit. You know what I mean? And they snitched on my buddy one day when I was giving him a ride. He got his first manufacturing charge. All right. And they swore up and down I was the one that did it. You know what I mean? I was the only person got arrested that night. The only one that got arrested. So the four of us, we didn't know who it was. All I know is I pulled in the driveway. The CB goes, suspect 1 and 2 approaching. I stopped the car. Is that us? We don't know. I go out to the car to get something. We can take suspect 1 right now. I said, we got to go. We got to get out of here. So they snitched on my buddy. Convinced him that I was the one that snitched on him. That I was the one that did it. And then that's when my gang stalking started. You know what I mean? That's when a bunch of like satanic cult members started giving me meth with LSD and acid in it while they were setting me up, trying to make me delusional to get me to kill myself. You know what I mean? I seen people in my backyard at night. Like I said, one of their installed tactics was to him and my girlfriend, my buddy in the shower. I look out the backyard one day. I see the guy I snitched on, allegedly, that I didn't snitch on, and I see his sister getting fucked with a gun to the back of her head. Now, the installs before they did this, he laced my meth with LSD and acid and all that shit. I've never done acid or LSD. So they were trying to get me to kill myself in order to cover it up. To this day, I don't know if it was her and him. All I know is I seen he did the fear tactics just like the main attacker family did. What he did was my grandpa lost a gun. Kidnapping's only a Class B felony. There's a mason jar he put ethanol in. He broke into my basement, put it in my basement. I was freaking out about it because I wasn't aware he was out to get me because of them. I thought he was my friend. You know what I mean? So, I don't know if you've ever done methamphetamine, but I don't know if you've ever had methamphetamine when somebody puts a bunch of acid in there. I'm frozen like a deer in the headlights just watching this horrific scene. They hid a fake dead body in the backyard down in the tree line. You know what I mean? All kinds of shit like that. I got suicidal. Fucking slashed my wrist at rehab. You know what I mean? Slit them both. You know what I mean? Because every time I would get high because of the traumatic events, I would relive them traumatic events over and over and over again. I was fine when I was sober, but the second I get high, I would get suicidal. I would replay it all in my head. What I thought was a delusion and a hallucination turned out not to be a hallucination. And after that, they realized they were trying to cover up a murder at this point. I mean, they spread it in everywhere in town. Him and them, their family, they spread everywhere in town that I was a snitch. It wasn't years later where it would get worse and worse and worse. You know what I mean? And when I would relapse, there'd be voices coming through my headphones and my cell phone. And they'd only do it when I was high because they had access. Oh, when I was in sober living down in Latonia at Brad Toll's place, we went riding across Indiana one day. Somebody called my probation officer and told him I took my motorcycle across state lines. He's like, somebody called, said you went to Indiana? I'm like, nope. He's the only person I went riding with. He's the only person who knew where I went. You know what I mean? So, luckily, probation officer's like, whatever. Good guy. He's a real good guy. So, they continued to try and get me all the way up. And then when I did relapse and come back home, they had my phone hacked. She would text down there and she had my old Facebook. Any female I talked to, I had 5 kids that didn't pay child support. I was a bad father. I beat women. Shit like that spread throughout town. I was a snitch. And then when I came back in 2020, 2, it got worse. I was a snitch. I was a rat. I was a pedophile. I was a rapist. You know what I mean? I was a gang stalker. I was a stalker. I was a Satanist. And this. And my one buddy that, you know, he converted to Satanism was the first person to ever graduate the GLC from down here using Satan as his higher power. He still thinks I'm the one that snitched on him to this day. To this fucking day. The sad thing is the buddy that was living here with me moved in with him too and was also hacking and stalking me as well. Same guy. They made a Truman Show event where they gave access to my phone to about 30 to 50 people in 2022 to listen to me 24/7. After they spent years, because I would relapse, I would get high, talking to me over my headphones, speakerphones. I would think I had auditory hallucinations. They told me I was a schizophrenic. You know what I mean? He called Eastern Mental Hospital whenever I go there. He called some behavioral health whenever I went there. And I didn't finally catch these people until last year. Caught them red fucking handed. But the police department, you know, they went to go do something about it, but, you know, they wanted to dump everything off on his sister. So she was supposed to be like that family satanic sacrifice, you know what I mean? Like, she was the one that was going to take all the blame. She was the one going to go to prison when her brother was the one that orchestrated the entire thing. Her brother and her mother. It didn't seem right with me. I couldn't press charges on them for whatever else it was they did. You know what I mean? My life has been a living fucking hell. I've had people try to overdose me with putting fentanyl and stuff. A vape pen with fentanyl, spiked Waffle House coffee, you name it. I've had probably about 10 attempts on my person. I've had about 7 suicide attempts because of what they did to me, because they lied. When he lied and told them, his family, that I was the one that snitched on him, the first thing he did was become best friends with his little brother and secure the lie that I was the one that did it. And then after that, he just continued going out throughout town with it, repeating the same pattern of attack over and over and over again, everywhere it went. So they spent about 12 years, or 2016, hacking me stuff all the way up to 2022. I went to jail. Failed my probation, told nobody to talk to me and while I was in jail. Nobody called him, nobody talked to him. As soon as I get out, he's the first one that hits me up. The very first one hits me up. I'm still unaware this motherfucker's the one orchestrating this entire event to try and murder me. You know what I mean? So I was made a satanic sacrifice and ritual. And by the time I finally figured out what was going on, you know what I mean? It was pretty much too late. You know, he texted the Kenton County Jail pretending to be the girlfriend that they put in the shower together. You know what I mean? From 2015, pretending to be her, saying I'm the voices in the woods. Switched a couple different noises. We're out waiting in the woods to kill your family, this and that, all in the jail chirps. You know what I mean? I wrote in a complaint to the sergeant there. They still got it on record to this day. Called the police department, was always telling them that I was a meth dealer, that I got pulled over like 40 times within the span of like 2 years. All they ever found was a syringe. I watched the video of the cam footage. They were looking for a quarter pound. See, what this family does is why they can get away with all this shit is they have a long history of working with the police department. All them people that got hacked, all them people that were involved, all them people, they did the same thing they did to my original buddy. Everybody, and tried to put all the blame off of me, like Jared's the one who snitched on everybody. That's why you all ended up in jail with me at the same time. Isn't it ironic that I was in jail with you in Kenton and Boone County, but I'm the one that told on you? Makes a lot of fucking sense, doesn't it? And I finally caught him red-handed. I was up in Indiana, still hacking my profile. I finally put it all together. I snapped out the meth-induced psychosis that they put me in with the traumatic events of the satanic ritual. And I put it all back together. And, you know, it all made sense. And I was blowing it up on social media. All their secrets. Him, you know, saltatory, raping a minor on my front porch. And, you know, stalking me. Them trying to get me to commit suicide and everything they did to me. They filed an emergency protective order on me when I was in another state. I got this all screenshotted, documented. I'm like, I'm in another state. You know what I mean? I had violent sexual acts happen to my person when I was unconscious. I know, because I woke up like this. It wasn't even aware of it until I took a shower. The police that woke me up for the event, they could tell you I had complete amnesia at the fucking time. You know what I mean? So, a true story, sadly to say. And They orchestrated all that stuff. Everything that ever happened to me. It fits their family profile. You know what I mean? Um, so Indiana they filed the EPO on me. I moved back to Kentucky with a friend that moved up here from Florida. You know what I mean? Everything's going like kind of normal. I get a job at Domino's. There's a kid at Domino's is acting a little fishy, like they done called up there, like they already knew something about me. You know what I mean? And then I lose my job at Domino's. My buddy kicks me out. I go relapse for a little bit of time. Get back up on my feet. Move out to Walton, Kentucky. I'm like, okay, I got this shit. Pity party's over. Time to get my shit together. I'm out there at the donut shop. She drives by, calls the cops on me. I fucking build me a tent, set it all up, get me a job out there. I'm walking back and forth and everything. Don't even post videos about them, put them on the internet. I post videos when I get drunk one night talking shit about them on my phone. And they've retaliated because they were still hacking my device to that day. You know what? Oddly enough, I accused him of sexual acts on like his child. You know what I mean? I didn't even put it on the internet. So what happens is his mom comes up to the local Kroger's on the phone with her son, walks right over to where I am. Hey, we got a stalker over here. We got a stalker over here. Holds the phone up to my head. Motherfucker's threatening to murder and shoot me. I got an EPO. They got EPOs on me. I had to get up and walk away out the store. As soon as I get over there to the Kohl's, my phone goes dead. Loses internet, loses everything. All right, I check my social media posts. My Facebook's been turned off. All my TikToks have been turned off. They're in all my shit. Like, they're watching who I text. And this was confirmed. I've been testing this week. If I text somebody asking about going, and I immediately get a follow-up by a fake account. Like certain individuals, like I message this dude, I get text messages from this dude. When they were putting the EPO on me in Grant County, he took videos from my TikToks that I was a threat to him and his family. They got 2 EPOs on me. Made sure I couldn't say his name on social media. You know what I mean? This is in Grant County. His mom laughs and smiles, taunts my dad on the way out the courtroom. He's a genius. And the judge just looks at her like, this fucking bitch right here. He's over there fake crying, saying that I said he was doing shit to his daughter, telling everybody about it. You know what I mean? Judge never even sent Child Protective Services out there. And when I accused them of it, they brought a witness to the courthouse. And this is what happened in the courthouse with the witness they brought up there. There's this guy just lingering out there in the hallway. Just like there in case I decided to get up and pop that motherfucker in the mouth because he was sitting there taunting me. Had his stepdaughter on his hip fucking bouncing around and his mom feeding into it. You know what I mean? And he was loving it. He just had the biggest grin on his face his entire fucking life over there. Acting like he was sexually assaulting his daughter. That's what he was acting like. And they were taunting me about my friends, all the ones that I lost and everybody else. And you know what I mean? I had my phone recording sitting there next to me. He gets a text message on his phone that says, he's recording us. So whoever was hacking my phone at the time was relaying text messages to him. So I go out there in the hall and I talk to the guy out there who's their spotter, their witness in case I punch him in the mouth. I'm out there, I'm talking to him for 5 minutes. I tell him the story. It's like, yeah, they're doing this to me. They've been gang stalking and harassing me for years because they snitched on my buddy back in the day. They've been trying to cover it up. And then when I committed suicide, and he's just like, yeah. His mom immediately leaps up, jumps on her phone, goes down to the bailiff, says that I'm up there causing a disruption. The bailiff comes up there yelling at me, and I'm like, you see what they do? He's like, yeah, I'm beginning to see what they do. You know what I mean? On the way in the courtroom, he tells the bailiff on the way in the courtroom, he's trying to record this whole thing. I pull out my phone, the bailiff walks over to me and eyes me like a hawk. I just pull up my... So this family has a long history of working with the police force. And I'm going to tell you this now. If anybody was involved in my endeavor in years, just leave me alone. Just back the fuck away from me. You know what I mean? Don't attempt to hack me. Don't attempt to track me. Because if this fat fuck ever goes down for anything, they already tried to use their own flesh and blood as the fall girl. Everybody thought I was so in love with her. You know what I mean? I got people coming out here screaming. I had a woman down the road one night screaming, help, rape, rape. Wanting me to call the police department. And then she drove off. I never called the police department. We had one kid come down one night, car that way honked their horn. That horn, it went off different directions trying to make me go insane. One kid came down from the bar one night, went up, wrecked his car, and died. Like, I had people die that were harassing me. Wrecked into a tree and died. That kid's life is on them too. You know what I mean? Because it ain't my fault. I ain't the one that spread this evil out here in Kentucky to get all these people to attack me to cover up the fact they were a snitch.